In college, I took voice lessons with a voice teacher, and usually I had some assignment in between lessons to practice the piece and be ready to sing it or perform it for the next time I was in the lesson. And more often than not, it seemed I either didn't have time or I just didn't practice or I didn't give the time to practice. And we would get into it, and a lot of times my teacher would just be like, "Well, you're not ready to do this one yet," and we'd have to either move on into the lesson or the lesson be over because I hadn't prepared the way I should have. I didn't put the time in that I needed to. I didn't do that. I was always told to practice every day, even just for a little bit, just practice every day. And I think that's the principle that we have to start adapting for ourselves in our spiritual lives, in our lives of prayer, that we practice it every day, that we practice being a Christian every day. What does it look like for me to do that? Well, I think that what Jesus tells this parable today about a rich man and Lazarus, and the rich man who had all of these beautiful things in life. He ate and drank sumptuously, and there was a poor man at his doorstep. He had the opportunity every day to serve someone, to serve the poor that's right in there in his midst, but he wouldn't even give him the scraps from his table. And so when he goes and he dies, he goes to the bad place, and Lazarus goes to the good place. And he's longing just to have, just for Lazarus to get him a little bit of water. And he calls out to Father Abraham asking for that. And he can't. What we find is one principle of the kingdom of God is that what we do here on earth matters. And it's not something that we can make up or cram in at the last moment for the most part. We might have a great conversion of heart, and we can't say as to what God will do, but I think by and large, if we are trying to live a Christian life, we have to do that now. It can't be something that's going to happen tomorrow. And I think the best way to think about it is every day just to get up and say, how can I serve other people? How can I grow closer to God today? Or what am I going to do that? And maybe to give ourselves a couple of things, a couple of challenges for prayer, a couple of challenges to say, I'm going to do something nice for someone and not get caught. I like to think about it that way. And as we do that, we start to practice what it means to be holy, what it means to be like Jesus. And that's the way that we grow, is we practice. We practice our faith. It's literally something we practice. We practice growing closer to God. And so, as the prophet Jeremiah says, he says, blessed the man who puts his trust in the Lord. As we do that, we come to a greater relationship with God, and we trust in him more and not in our own selves and what we want to do and what our things are. He says, cursed the man who trusts in himself, who puts his trust in human beings. Let us today, just for today, ask ourselves, how am I going to practice my faith? And what does it look like? So that I might be ready for that moment when I come to the end of life, and that I can go to the good place with Jesus and say, and he'll say, hopefully, well done, my good and faithful servant.